thank you so much for your songs. I felt like you expressed so much in my speech already. I was
Oh,
wondering
good.
if
That
I
was
should
my
just
prayer.
Go home. So thank you.
Oh,
So
no,
beautiful.
I'm glad to know that.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to be here. And I wanted to start because the speech is titled The Sovereign Heart, for us all to connect to our birthright of connecting to our sovereign heart. So let us just take a few breaths. I'm inviting you to close your eyes and just elongate your spine as best you can to allow the energy to move freely through, rooting your feet into Mother Earth, inviting yourself to grow roots into the mother, connecting with her as she, and then connecting with the crown of your head and just letting that beautiful golden bright light solar energy just melt down through your crown, feeling it dripping through your face, this golden light dripping through your throat, activating, dripping through your chest and your shoulders, feeling this golden solar light just dripping through your stomach and your organs and your lower back and your hips and your groins, dripping down through your legs and your knees, this golden light dripping through your feet and your toes and down into Mother Earth, and she gratefully receives this divine light. And now connecting to our hearts, bringing our awareness back to our hearts, and imagining our hearts as a perfect, precious pink rose, and feeling into the frequency of pink and the holy innocence that lives in that frequency of our heart, and allow the petals, the velvety petals, to just breathe open effortlessly, easily with each breath, tuning into the sovereignty of the breath, of the petals of our heart expanding and calling in the qualities of comfort, sacredness, and healing as we just allow our hearts to expand effortlessly and easily. And then tuning into the center of our hearts, underneath those beautiful petals as they expand open with each breath, tuning into the diamond white light that lives in the center of our hearts, connecting with that source energy, the creator energy that is us, and allowing that diamond white light to engulf us. And as we tune into this heart-centered awareness of the center of our hearts, in the center of the rose of our hearts, asking ourselves, without judgment, without anticipating that we know, just tuning into what is real for us now, what is on our hearts, and distilling it down into a few words, feeling into what we are carrying into this space of the altar of the one heart, and then asking ourselves, what do I need from me right now? What can I give myself? What do you need? And then trusting and knowing that it is already done, as we are infinitely capable of giving our hearts exactly what they need in this now, and it is already done. Thank you. I'm blinking your eyes open, and thank you for taking that journey and trusting me to journey you into tuning into the sovereignty of our hearts. So I want to begin by honoring the grandmothers, the elders, and the indigenous relatives who may be present in this space. I'd like to honor the land and the first peoples of the land, and Kim Marcus, our Serrano elder, who has honored us and blessed many of our MMIP events. I'd like to honor the work of Ernest Holmes and his vision and the Centers for Spiritual Living. I'd like to honor Grandmother Otter and Corinne and Anne, who I don't know if she's here now, and all of the other beings here holding the space at the Center for Spiritual Living in Yucca Valley, a beautiful and powerful spiritual space for the people. So thank you. I'd also like to take a moment now to honor the missing and murdered indigenous people. So we're going to take a minute just to honor them, and we have Sharon, who has been heart-led to hold up red dresses just for this minute of silence. So please come forward, all of those who will be holding the red dress for this minute. The red dresses represent the missing and murdered. It's part of an international movement. So once they come up here, we'll just go ahead and hold the space for a minute. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for honoring the missing and murdered with this minute of silence, and for taking in the visual of the red dresses as a representation of the missing and murdered. Okay, so while they're going back to their seats, and thank you so much for coming up here and honoring us with your presence. When I was invited to speak on the missing and murdered Indigenous people and the epidemic with the task of making it spiritual and uplifting, I felt, what could I do? What I could do was bring awareness about the epidemic, introduce our beautiful upcoming fundraising event on September 21st here at the Center for Spiritual Living, and then describe what it means to me from my perspective as an ally, because I can only share from my own self and how I see things, and maybe in doing so spark some empowerment for the people to rise up and walk in sacred activism together. So I do not come here to speak over Indigenous voices or for Indigenous people. I only come to offer my voice as a bridge to help carry forward the truth and hope. Indigenous women, girls, Two-Spirit people, and men are disproportionately affected by violence, abduction, and murder. While this epidemic affects all Indigenous people, it is the women and children who are impacted in staggering numbers. Indigenous women are twice as likely to experience violence as non-Indigenous women. Homicide is the third leading cause of death for Indigenous women. Native American women face murder rates 10 times higher than the national average. And yet, how often do we hear their names? How often do their stories make the news? The truth is, the crisis of missing and murdered Indigenous people, what we call MMIP, is one of the most underreported, overlooked, and devastating human rights issues of our times. It is a part of a genocide that has existed since the dawn of colonialism. One of the reasons the crisis continues is because our systems have been designed to fail Indigenous people. Because of deep inconsistencies between tribal law and federal law, the tribal governments are prohibited from prosecuting non-Native offenders for crimes committed on tribal land. Think about that. It means that justice is blocked at the door. And when it comes to data, the numbers are not even accurate. Most MMIP statistics are collected on reservations, but 70 to 87% of American Indian and Alaska Native people live in urban areas. That means the vast majority of missing relatives are not even counted. And of the numbers that have been accumulated, many have been deleted from the federal database. The Non-Invisible Act Commission was officially removed from many federal websites, including the Department of Justice in early 2025, which included thousands of pages of recent MMIP data. And so, the crisis goes underreported, the families suffer in silence, and the violence continues, including but not limited to human trafficking, sex trafficking, sexual assault, and murder. That is why we formed our nonprofit, Missing and Murdered Indigenous People Raising Awareness. Our mission is simple but urgent: to lift Indigenous voices, to bring awareness to the epidemic through community involvement, and to ensure that our missing relatives are honored and not forgotten. And the community has shown us that when we come together, we can make an impact. On May 5th, 2025, we hosted a march in downtown Palm Springs. Our march was covered by KESQ3, the local TV news station. We also hosted beautiful and successful gatherings, including a music fundraiser at Coyote Run Studios, a community event at Windwalker's Medicine Wheel, and a fundraiser at Mas o Menos. These were not just events, they were ceremonies of remembrance and of community awareness and healing. And here at the Center for Spiritual Living on September 21st, we have been invited to host an event featuring Nicole Merton, a nationally recognized MMIP activist and educator who travels across the country documenting the stories of families affected by the crisis. She and her family are about to embark on another pilgrimage in early October across Montana, South Dakota, and some other states, preserving these stories so that the voices of those lost are not silenced. We will be raising money for her to complete this pilgrimage, and there will be music and jewelry and art for sale, a small raffle, and Nicole will share photos and videos and stories from people she has documented. This is the work we are devoted to. This is the community we are building, because silence is not an option. We must ask ourselves, who is the most vulnerable population, and why have they consistently been left out of the conversation of human rights? Now is the time to honor Indigenous rights and wisdom. Indigenous people are the original wisdom keepers of this land. They hold the knowledge of how to live in harmony with Mother Earth. They carry the teachings about how to heal as humans and how to walk together in balance. And Earth herself is calling us back to this wisdom. Prophecies across cultures tell us Earth is resetting. A new world, the fifth world, is being born. And the question is not whether Mother Earth will survive. She will. The question is whether we as humans will choose to walk with her. We live in a time when outrage is manufactured by controlling forces. We are constantly told what to care about, where to direct our anger, what headlines should hold our attention. Who are these headlines serving? How much is our nervous system connected to the architecture of fear and separation? But where is the outrage for the Indigenous women and children? Where is the spotlight for our missing relatives? It is important to ask ourselves the questions about why. Who is the silence serving? Who is it not serving? I'd like to quote Barbara Marciniak's book, Bringers of the Dawn, a channeling of the Pleiadians. The Pleiadians are from the star system, the Pleiades, also known as the Seven Sisters. These seven sisters are woven into Indigenous creation stories, and it is believed that the Pleiadians have a presence here, contacting many humans and laying a presence of support for the humans here today. They state, "You are controlled and separated by issues that strike at the core of your emotion, divide and conquer, and you own the people. There will come a time when you are told what to believe in and what to fear. In that moment, you must listen to your heart. This is that time." How do I fit into this? While unity consciousness is the frequency we must embody and anchor to move forward, a part of tuning into the oneness and understanding the self is an aspect that one cannot be an effective ally, particularly for MMIP, without identifying where they fit into the movement and understand who they are and what they represent. So some things I identify with is a woman, a mother, a rape and sexual abuse survivor. And as for the matter of race and lineage, I'm predominantly of European descent, Irish, English, Dutch, German, as well as generations back, Native American ancestry with the Oneida tribe. But when I look in the mirror, I see myself as a white woman, and I am aware of how that this weaves into my standing as an ally. As for many of us, our ancestors trespassed. They participated in colonialization. They helped to build and reinforce a system built on broken treaties, residential schools, and the continued erasure of indigenous people. And we carry the grief of that history. Our hearts have always known that something was deeply wrong in the world we inherited. Part of my role and the role of every ally is to not turn away from the grief, but to face it, both individually and collectively, to reckon with it, to walk through the shadows and to welcome the shadows back into the light, to stand alongside our indigenous relatives and to prioritize lifting their voices when for far too long they have been silenced. This is the healing solve. Participating as an ally in a good way is a duty and an honor, and it can also be uncomfortable. Mistakes will be made, words may stumble. I've certainly had many moments where I've not wanted to put myself out there. And I've put my foot in my mouth many times. But we cannot let the discomfort or fear stop us. We have to push through. Humbling oneself to learn is part of the reverence. And silence is worse. Silence is complicity. This country was built on lies and blood. The roots are rotten, and you cannot build on rotten roots. The only way forward is to bring the infection, the injustice into the light. The only way into the next world is harmonizing through this one, understanding that to stand for indigenous rights is to stand for human rights. It is to stand for Mother Earth, and as the walking embodiments of Earth herself, it is to stand in reverence to the sacredness within ourselves. This is why I call this speech the Sovereign Heart, because the sovereign heart is not bound by politics, by fear, or by separation. The sovereign heart is a higher compass governed by love, by freedom, and by the courage to choose what truly matters. If we ever feel confused about what belongs to our sovereign heart, our sacred activism, our aligned purpose, we can tune into the energy surrounding it. If it exists in distortion and the energy of separation, then perhaps it is not born of sovereignty. Sacred rage must rise within us, yes. Injustice will shake us to our core. But if rage becomes the only fuel and we are blinded by separation, then we know we are being fed by the very powers that seek to divide us, and they have won. Love and a sense of higher duty and purpose of oneness and healing, these are the true frequency attunements to the sovereign heart. So I invite you, let us become a movement of sovereign hearts, hearts that beat as one, returning to truth, returning to justice, returning to sovereignty. Because if all of our focus, all of our care, all of our resources went to standing for indigenous rights and wisdom, imagine the transformation, not just on our soil, but on a global scale. Imagine the frequencies of healing rising from the blood-soaked earth, signaling to the collective change is here. We cannot undo the past. We are here to say we remember. We are not afraid to face what has been hidden. We are not afraid to expose what is happening. We are not afraid to boldly hold the frequency of rising up in the name of oneness. We are here now, facing the wind, standing together, walking forward as one, saying their names, crying out for justice, lifting the indigenous voices, supporting the change makers, refusing silence, demanding change, dreaming in the new. That is the power of the sovereign heart. So if you would like more information on our next event on September 21st, you can follow us on Instagram. Our organization is MMIP Raising Awareness. You can sign up for emails on our website. You can also check in with the Yucca Valley Center for Spiritual Living on their amazing updates and events. And effective ways to participate in the golden thread of change is to follow other MMIP groups, share MMIP stories,
spread awareness among family and friends, support Indigenous-owned businesses, participate in May 5th March and Activism events, as that is the internationally recognized MMIP Awareness Day. Thank you so much for listening. Love and blessings to all of your sovereign hearts.